We are obviously at a extraordinarily precarious point in our republic and our democracy, and we'll be speaking with Congressman Raskin about just the situation where we are and what we need to do in these next 24 to 48 hours to have a maximum impact to prevent this monstrosity of a bill from passing the House. Obviously, it passed the Senate by a tie-breaking vote from J.D. Vance, and now it's back in the House and has to pass the same way. So he'll be joining us in just a minute. We've got a good crowd going here already. Now obviously, Congressman Raskin has been at the forefront of combating just these injustices that we're seeing, uh, throughout this Trump regime, and I'm grateful to have a few minutes to speak with him today. Throw your questions into the comments. We'll do our best to get to them. I know he's extremely busy because he's running back and forth and trying to make sure we stop this bill. The goal today is going to be to hear from him directly and understand what exactly we should be doing. I think we have some good ideas, but it's always going to be valuable to speak directly with the congressman. His team is telling me that they're about 2 minutes out. So if you guys have questions, start to throw them in the chat right now, and I'll try to take note of them. Obviously, I'm partial to Congressman Raskin. He's a fellow attorney, a little bit more accomplished, a little bit more accomplished, and a brilliant constitutional law professor and scholar. And we all remember how eloquently and effectively he tried the impeachment cases against Donald Trump. And he's also been a favorite target of Donald Trump for reasons that you can imagine. Trump doesn't like being held accountable. Congressman Raskin is a person who has actively held him accountable, and that's why I have a great deal of respect and admiration for him. I also, while we're waiting for him, want to point out that, look, these are the moments where we cannot lose hope. These are the moments that we cannot give in or pretend that our voices don't matter. That to me is the ultimate defeat. It's the goal of autocrats, of strongmen, of fascists, is to make us feel like we don't matter or make us feel like we have lost hope. And that's why it's so critical that we fight that urge. As overwhelming as it can be at times, it's that much more critical that we fight that urge. I saw a question: what can we do if our congressperson is a Democrat? Great question. We'll make a note to ask that to Congressman Raskin as he joins in just about a minute as well. What should we be hoping for at this critical moment? What is realistic? Another great question. We'll ask that as well. This is so. Just to kind of close that point that I wanted to make is one of the goals is exhaustion, is to make us feel like there's so many fires, so many horrible things happening that we just can't have an impact. So there he is, Congressman Jamie Raskin, joining us. Congressman, thank you for being with us today.
Qasim, thank you for having me. I'm really psyched to be with you and with your hundreds of thousands of followers.
Yeah, no, we're fortunate to have a platform of folks committed to human rights, social, economic, climate justice, and I think you embody all those things. So I'm grateful to have a chance to speak with you. Congressman, the questions that we're getting right now are, one, what is the status of this monstrosity of a bill? What should we be doing right now? And then I have a few more questions, but if you could kind of give us an update of where we are with the bill right now and what we should be focused on right
I mean, your guess is as good as mine. I've heard two different things from the Republican side of the aisle. One of them is just this is just the usual back and forth negotiation at the end as members like Senator Murkowski just try to extract whatever leverage they can out of the situation to get either something for themselves personally, like I need whatever in terms of a campaign visit or campaign fundraiser, um, or maybe, as in the case of Murkowski, well, this bill sucks, but I want something for my district. I don't care if the rest of the country sinks with, trillions of dollars of debt and 17 million people being thrown off their health insurance, but do something for me, do something for my district, do something for my state. So that's kind of one thing I've heard, and that's mostly what I've heard. But then a few people have said to me, if you look at what happened during the debate this morning, there were more than 100 Democrats there. Everybody wanted to speak. Everybody's fired up. There were 3 or 4 Republicans on that side. And so the other theory is that they understand that they are getting absolutely savaged in Washington and across the country. And some of them are really trying to back out of this because
Yeah.
they see this as a potentially career terminating event. And we just don't know what's going on over at the White House and behind the scenes. But procedurally, we're just completely held up right now.
And just to reiterate this point you made about Senator Murkowski, for those who may not be aware, she got a carve out to protect Alaskans and their health care because she recognizes that health care is a human right, but through the other 49 states under the ambulance, which is just mortifying apathy, however you slice it. Congressman, one of the questions that I'm also getting is what do I do if I'm in a blue district? My representative is already a Democrat who's already going to vote against this monstrosity of a bill. How can I be productive in making sure this bill doesn't become law?
Yeah, I mean, um, the entire Democratic caucus is totally dead set opposed to this, and everybody was there this morning, and everybody came out to the Capitol steps to fight about it. So it's fine to be in touch with your member, but that doesn't necessarily break the logjam that we're in. The vast majority of Republicans are already pledged to Donald Trump and to MAGA, but there is a handful of them left who are feeling intense pressure, who come from swing districts, um, like somebody like Scott Perry in Pennsylvania, who is, totally mega minded, but um, people are after him and his seat. Young Kim in California, David
Higgins in
Valadao.
Virginia, probably. Yeah, young
Yeah.
Higgins in Virginia is probably another one. Yeah,
So if you're in one of those districts, you need to be on top of it, either telling them, you will be campaigning full time against them if they vote for this monstrosity, which is a job killer, a Medicaid
yeah.
killer, a healthcare killer for the American people. Um, so that's one thing you can do if you're in one of those districts. But otherwise, just generally turn up the heat. Use whatever platform you've got, whether it's X or Facebook or
Yeah.
Blue Sky, just to be getting the word out that this is a this is a really calamitous moment for
Yeah.
American history. We're talking about throwing 17 million people off their health care. It is dangerous what they're doing. A huge setback on renewable energy. Everybody's electric bills are going to be going up $300 or $400 a year because of this power play by the Carbon Kings. Um, and so we just have to keep turning the heat up. Every little bit helps.
So to be sure, just because you're not in someone's district doesn't mean you can't call them. You should be calling them and letting them know that you're going to be campaigning against them, even if you're not a voter in that district, just to put that pressure up. Congressman, let's talk a little bit about the actual bill itself. I know we only have you for a few more minutes. In addition to the massive cuts to healthcare, cutting healthcare for 17 million people, we're also seeing a massive transfer of wealth from working people to the top 1%. And the studies about this show that if you're making 4 or 5 million a year, you're getting a massive tax cut. But if you're a working class person making 40, 50,000, your taxes are going up. Can you elaborate a bit more about that?
Yeah, I mean your taxes are going up or they're staying even, but you're losing hundreds or thousands of dollars of services depending on what you need. I mean, we're talking about 42 million Americans losing access to SNAP, the
Yeah,
nutrition assistance program. I mean, there are tens of millions of people who depend on SNAP to fight off hunger. So
yeah,
we're talking about spreading hunger in America as well as, spreading disease and illness. I mean, even if all you cared about was yourself, if you were, Ayn Rand, if you were a hero in an Ayn Rand novel, you still would not want 17 million
yeah,
Americans out there without health care. We saw during COVID-19 what that meant.
yeah.
Um,
Exactly right.
so I figure if you're one of the billionaires, if you're, Jeff Bezos or you're Mark Zuckerberg, maybe you think you can completely withdraw from society and you're in some kind of gated community existence or something. But the rest of us live in communities. And
Yeah,
so we want everybody to have healthcare. We want everybody to have food. And we don't want, spreading crime and this whole Trump regime is just like a gangster state. They start
yeah,
off by pardoning 1,600 violent insurrectionists and cop beaters, and then they fire the people who prosecute them. And then everything is about dismantling the law enforcement entities that protect us against organized crime, that protect us against Vladimir Putin and electoral sabotage from abroad. And Donald Trump pretty much goes into business full time as a crypto king now.
Yeah.
I mean, so
And
we're dealing with a gangster state.
you're right. And one of the provisions of this monstrosity is a massive increase in ICE funding, a massive increase in building prisons, many of which will probably be private prisons, and an expansion of the Department of Justice authority to even strip naturalized citizens like me of citizenship off of kind of a made up excuse. You're a professor of constitutional law. What red flags are going off as you see what's happening with these policy shifts that Trump is making?
Well, on that last point, I mean, we've seen something like 10 or a dozen denaturalizations a year, and it's always for somebody who lied about who they were, or they
Yeah.
covered up an entire criminal record and then became a citizen, not people who've actually been in the country as permanent resident green card holders and go through all the steps and pass the exam and they're citizens. And now they want to threaten all of those people with stripping them of their citizenship and sending them off to, who knows where, a torturer's prison in El Salvador, you name it. So there's this just across the board assault on basic constitutional values, on due process as we've seen it, on citizenship, on equal protection. And for them, it's all let's make a deal. I mean, if it can make them money, they're for it, no matter how criminal it is. And if it can make them money, they will attack it, even if it deals with the basic rule of law and rights of the people.
That's exactly the point, and I think where a lot of folks need to understand is that due process of law is not something exclusive for U.S. citizens. It's for every person in this country. That's the whole point of the Constitution of the Fifth Amendment that says no person shall be deprived. Congressman, I know you're busy, so
And
I'll,
on
I'll
just
let
on that point, one more thing.
yeah,
Sometimes my MAGA colleagues will say, "Hey, you're not for due process for non-citizens, are you?" And I'm like, first of all, we don't know whether they're citizens or not citizens until they've had due process. They say, "Wait, you're for due process for guilty people?" We don't know if they're guilty until they've had due process. That's
right.
why due process are the two most beautiful words in the English language. They separate our rights and our freedoms from the arbitrary power of the state.
That's exactly right. Congressman, I know you're busy, so I'll let you go. But one final question: in these next 24 hours, what are the one or two actions you want everyone watching this to take to ensure we stop this bill?
I mean, on whatever social media you use, you get out there and you tell everybody that this is a critical moment for the future of American democracy and its basic programmatic units: Medicare, Medicaid, the Affordable Care Act, Social Security. If they can get away with this, they figure they can get away with everything. They will try it to rip down and destroy Social Security. That's what's coming next if they think they can get away with this. So please, make that statement. And if you know people who are live in those swing districts, or if you're in one of those swing districts, you got to get in touch with your representative and say, "I will devote the entire next year to defeating you if you vote for this attack on the American people."
I love it. Congressman, thank you for your voice of moral clarity, for your leadership, and thank you for giving us a few minutes today to talk about this critical moment.
My pleasure, Qasim. Stay close, all right? Hang tough, everybody.
Thank you, my friend. Take care.